Hey, everybody, you need to put your screens on. This class is recorded. This is the last class on proponents. So I want to warn you that this class will be recorded. So you need to have your screens on. If your screen is not on, get another device, get a phone, get an iPad, get a computer. I will not take excuses. Please get your video working. I'm recording it, okay? Please be ready to go. Okay. Is there anybody that doesn't have this one today? It should say 3 advantages of single-sex schools, and you should have your outline. If you don't have that, chat in the box that you don't have it. I think I've sent it about 10 times, so maybe look for it. If I need to send it again, I will, but I think I've sent it enough. I'm actually literally working on next month's prompt on affirmative action, so my brain is somewhere else today, so forgive me. We are talking today about a really controversial right now, which is schools that have same gender. And I'm talking about all male and all female schools. So I'm going to share my screen here for a minute. There we go. He's British, so it's not just an American thing.
And the differences between the sexes and, well, the broader issue of gender identity altogether. Do students of the same gender learn better together or separately? Let's take a look at this topic with Ticker Ed starting right now. Hello and welcome to Ticker Ed, where we will be unpacking and examining the way we teach, listen and learn. From primary education through to university and beyond, Ticker Ed is backed by the team at Inquiry Tracker, who are the all-in-one solution for schools to easily manage their future families. Designed by educationalists, it's a game changer to manage and grow inquiries and online enrollments. After all, it's the lifeline of every school. And joining me now is my regular co-host and founder of Inquiry Tracker, Greg Campitelli. Greg, welcome to today, and we've got a pretty juicy topic, this one, a great debate, if you will.
We have, Mike, we've got the big one.
What are we going to be talking about?
Co-ed and single-sex education, can they coexist? Is one better than the other? What should we be talking about? I'm really thrilled. We're going to be joined by one of the Australasia's leading experts in single-sex education a bit later in the program. Okay. So we want to first up perhaps concentrate about some of the differences or some of the points under co-education. It's often thought that co-ed is better for boys and all girls education is better for girls.
That's definitely what I heard.
We're going to unpack that a little later in the program with our special guest.
Awesome. Remember, teams, while Inquiry Tracker plays host to an impressive Australian success story taking the sector by storm and is now used by 200 schools across 5 countries. You can, of course, find more at inquirytracker.net. And remember, folks, whilst Inquiry Tracker is the presenting sponsor of today's discussion, the opinions and statements expressed in the following shows, they're our own. Let's get into it, Greg. What prompts the choice from parents in the beginning? What's that?
Okay. So really the point of that, everybody, is to show you that we've got a controversy, right? I'm a big fan of same-sex schools. So how does this apply to you all? And this is proponents. For those of you who logged in late, because it's 12:04. All I did was start class, and this is being recorded, so please put your video on. A lot of parents, especially parents looking at private school, feel like same-sex schools, when I say same gender, same sex, I'm saying all female or all male, are better for their child. Now, how does this apply to you? If you're in a public school, and if you're in a public school, I can guarantee you it's co-ed, because you're going to have legal issues with same-sex classrooms. So why would a parent want a same-sex school? And could you, ladies and gentlemen, hypothetically choose an all-female or all-male college? And the answer to that question is yes. So ladies, can I address you for a moment? Do you ladies feel that you get the same treatment in the classroom as boys? Anybody can shout out. Okay, anybody who doesn't, okay, you don't? That's because you're not. Shruti, are you and Radhika together? I love it. You hanging out? Hi, girls. Thank you, Shruti. You know what, girls, we've come a long way. We really have. But we didn't get the right to vote until 1920. And ladies, have you seen a female president yet? That's because males won't vote for us. That's right. We're not good enough. We're not strong enough. So let me tell you, I looked at an all-girls school for my daughter. I wanted her in an environment that promoted especially STEM, science, technology, engineering, math. What lady in this group is already in high school? Can you raise your hand? Okay, can you tell me, ladies, those of you that are in the high school, do you think girls are pursuing science, technology, engineering, and math classes, or do you see these as more male-dominated classes at this point? Anybody shout out for me.
More male dominated.
So what's messed up with that, right? Well, here's the reality. Gentlemen, you've always been given more attention when it comes to education. And it's been that way from the beginning. You know, ladies, we have stereotypical roles that we have had ingrained in this male ideology. The woman takes care of the house. The woman has the children. The woman takes care of the husband, and the husband can go do his own thing. And the husband or the male child has more of an educational advantage than a female. So what if, hypothetically, ladies, I put you in an environment and I took the boys out of the picture? And boys, what if I put you in an environment and took the girls out of the picture? Let's factor in that hormones are going crazy, right, in high school. And you're attracted to those females or male counterparts, and you want their attention. Would that impact the academic environment? Yeah. So this is the proponent's strongest environment. You take that conflict out of the equation. And ladies and gentlemen, I have a daughter who finished high school. I have a daughter who was physically assaulted at a Catholic high school. Yeah, co-ed Catholic high school, because she got in the middle of her best friend and her boyfriend. And he physically like pushed her down, and he was, you know, he was suspended and everything, but she was just like, Mom, this happens. I'm like, and of course you're in school 7 hours a day and you bring your drama into the classroom. Raise your hand if I'm right. Am I right? Come on, raise your hands, right? And men, I'm gonna tell you that girls, we bring our drama. Girls, can y'all admit that? We bring our drama. And boys, can you admit something for me? I want one boy to admit this. Gentlemen, when there's a behavioral problem in the classroom, is it a girl causing it or a boy? Anybody? I need a male. Can you be honest with me? It's a male. 9 times out of 10, the conflict just revolves around a man, a boy. So what if we stuck all the boys in an all-male environment? Would we just have one discipline problem after another, one behavioral problem after another? Gentlemen, you would think so, right? No. What actually happens is there are less behavioral problems, less discipline problems when you separate the boys and the girls. How about that? Go figure. Okay, so all we're looking at today are the advantages of all male and all female schools. Does anybody know the #1 all male school in the Dallas-Fort Worth area? Okay, let me tell you how #1 they are. If you're a male and you graduate from this school, you're probably going to an elite Ivy school because you're in the top 5 nationwide. Does anybody know what all male school I'm talking about? Y'all don't know?
Is it St. Mark's?
It is St. Mark's. And they are phenomenal, phenomenal. Does anybody know the top all-girls school? Go ahead, shout it.
Hockaday.
Hockaday and St. Mark's actually partner with each other. So if you're a Hockaday cheerleader, you cheer for St. Mark's. They have school dances. So, you know, the opposing side is going to argue, listen, if you're in a same-sex environment, you don't have boys and girls learning those necessary social skills because they don't intermingle. Haha, that's not true. Private schools that are all male and all female partner with each other. Ursuline and Jesuit. And Jesuit, you should know that name if you're in Coppell, because Jesuit's a 6A school and we play them in football. They're an all-male school, and they also incredible top school, all-male school. Ursuline is the best all-female school, probably better than Hockaday. Hockaday is more of a creative environment. Ursuline is more of an advanced college preparatory environment, and they're only high school. So they partner with, so that kind of gets taken out of the equation. So what happens then? Why are these schools so great when we separate all male and all female? Well, number one, you're taking out the drama, right? So hence, and I'm right here, more relaxed environment. You're going to see 5 different articles, and all 5 of them are going to say a more relaxed environment. Well, what does environment mean? Well, if you have an environment that expects, that demands a higher standard of education, then every student is raised in that environment. If it's a relaxed environment that doesn't have the sexual attraction issue, I'm not worried about failing in front of the cute guy across the room, and I'm not afraid to answer because the girl I like is over there, right? So these are cultivated, these environments are cultivated when genders don't try to impress one another, okay? Can I tell y'all a really funny story about Ursuline? I know this to be a fact because I have daughters, you know, my daughter got into Ursuline and other girls who went. They don't care, ladies, about what they look like. They roll out of bed. They don't care if they're showered. They don't care if they shave their legs. They wear no makeup and they go to school like that. Why? Because it's just a bunch of girls. Ladies, when you go to school, do you make an effort in your coeducational school? I'm guessing you do. Gentlemen, I'm guessing you shower and you put on a cute outfit. Am I right? Right? If you're in a same gender environment, do you care as much? Maybe you focus more on learning than what you look like and how attractive you are to the person that you like in the classroom or in the school or in the hallway. When students are among peers, the article says that they are physically similar to them, they don't feel like they have to prove something. And that's often the case for girls and boys in co-ed schools. Students in single-sex schools are more willing to take risks when they're not afraid of failing in front of the opposite sex. So they say the resulting classrooms are dynamic, free, bursting with ideas and conversation, which are the hallmarks of a great education. Love that argument. Okay, another argument for proponents is stereotypes. Okay, ladies, there are stereotypes, and ladies, we're always going to have them. Are we as good as the boys in science, technology, engineering, and math? You know, they have done studies. Statistics have shown that teachers unknowingly will have the boys answer the questions. They will favor the boys, even though they know. That's how ingrained sexual stereotypes are. And the same is true, gentlemen, for a lot of arts courses. Sometimes males will not take art or theater because they don't feel it's as masculine. They don't feel as macho. Does that make sense? So in co-ed schools, students speak and behave in the interest of affirming their gender-related self-concept, their gender identity, their gender stereotype. In a same-sex environment, all male, all female, this is not a prominent issue. Students worry less about whether their behavior is masculine or feminine and how they're perceived. They don't care. Interesting, right? Students in, going to the next page, same-sex schools are less likely to feel pressure to act correctly in terms of sexual stereotypes. especially in the eyes of their peers and their teachers. Interesting. This is my favorite argument, and I have to agree with it. When you are in an all male environment, for example, and I'm your teacher, I can tailor my history lesson, gentlemen, to you, because I know, gentlemen, you like battles. You like the blood and the guts and the strategies, and you like the idea of that in war. It's all about that for you. So I could focus on that when I taught the history to you. And ladies, I could tailor the curriculum differently to you. I could talk about the roles women played in war. For example, in World War II, ladies, I don't know if you knew this, when the men went off to war, guess who worked in the factories and took their jobs? We did. And ladies, that's what started basically a movement. When the men came back from World War II, they wanted their jobs back. Guess what? We women were performing them as well or better. And we didn't want them to have their jobs back. We liked it. And that's really when this movement, this women's movement happened. So I could talk about that. I could talk about what were the roles then. And by the way, women in World War II had to give those jobs back to men. Doesn't that stink, ladies? We could do the same job, but we had to give the jobs back because it was the man's job. So we could talk about that. You know, we could talk about Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet. Ladies, correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably want to hear about the romance, right? And the gentleman might want me to really focus on the relationship, the fight between Tybalt and Romeo, who kills Tybalt, right? And why? And what was that all about? So really carefully selected topics can benefit students, giving them nuanced experiences based on their gender. You can't tailor that in a co-ed school because you have to focus on the males and the females. For example, right now, as I'm teaching this class, I'll get your question in just a second, Taran. I'm having to really carefully talk about girls and boys. And I'm having to kind of show both sides. And it's kind of exhausting. If I was just talking to the boys separately, we would be having a different conversation. And ladies, if I was just talking to you, I'd be pretty relaxed and I'd really tell it the way it was. I'm actually really carefully choosing my words because it's co-ed here. Taran, what were you going to say, babe?
So you mentioned how like because it's mixed, there would be more nuance. I mean, because it was separate, there would be more nuance in the topics that you cover. But wouldn't it be that if you covered topics that specified to like both genders, you would be able to see the perspective of both genders in your education?
Yeah, but I'm not arguing for that side yet.
Yeah.
But that is the other side. And you're not wrong, but I'm not arguing that side. Gotcha. So same-sex schooling only eliminates gender stereotypes when teachers don't make the assumptions about what they teach. So if you're a good teacher, Taran, you're choosing a worldview. But it is nice sometimes that you can tailor the curriculum to meet certain genders. You know, and I'll be honest with you, ladies, I don't know if you know this. When you started my class, everybody, did I put you with males or females? Ria, were you with girls or boys?
Girls.
You know why? I'm gonna tell you why. Ladies, you're about 1.5 years ahead of boys in middle school. You have puberty, you hit puberty about 1.5 years before boys. You have a way of thinking that the boys don't catch up to. I can teach girls faster, boys takes me longer. So I split you. I same-sexed classroomed all of you that have been in my program for a couple years, and you didn't even know it. And guess what? I didn't even know I was doing it. I didn't know why I was doing it. I just knew it was easier. Isn't that strange? So I kind of learned a lot on this one, everybody. Okay, I'm going to take Tehran's question and say opponents say it limits vital social interaction. We always have to address the opposition. While proponents say we can customize the educational experience, I can increase the confidence of the boys. I can increase the confidence of the girls. I can strengthen community involvement, right? But opponents will say it comes at a cost. Here's my question though. Am I at school to learn academics or social skills?
I would say mix of both.
It's true. I think you learn, you all should know the answer to that question after the pandemic. Do you remember when you came back after a year online and people didn't know how to, right, get along? You kind of had to relearn how to get along with people. So I want to just say a couple things here. Let me give you some ethos here. According to the National Coalition of Girls' Schools, ladies, this is for you. Graduates of an all-girl high school are more likely to attend coeducational schools and impact their communities. They actually perform better academically. They consider females majoring in math, science, or technology. They have higher aspirations and greater motivation. Vanessa Garza, founding principal at GALS LA, argues a single gender learning environment benefits girls while increasing their confidence, which builds their leadership capabilities. Now, it's not just about the girls. Gentlemen, according to Matt Alpert, executive director of the Center for Reflective Communities in Los Angeles, which works to enhance the relationship between children and parents or caregivers, in single gender schools, boys are more often willing to take risks because they don't feel the fear of failing in front of the other sex. Single gender schools can also allow boys to learn and grow at their own pace, gaining confidence in their abilities without being compared to girls. And early on, gentlemen, you are compared to girls. Not so much, it kind of equalizes in high school. Okay, I'm going to go to this page, if y'all are there. Notice the advantages of same-sex classroom. Here it is again, less distraction. According to the National Educational Association, advocates of same-sex education believe both boys and girls can benefit from single-gender classrooms. Without boys in the room, girls are more likely to share their perspectives on topics as well as answer questions posed by the teacher. Studies have shown boys perform better in same-sex classrooms and are more likely to complete classroom activities. Get this, gentlemen, less behavioral issues and you're more likely to get your work done in a same gender environment. Go figure. Differentiated learning, there it is again, that tailored curriculum. Same-sex classrooms allow teachers to tailor their lessons toward the specific interests and needs of the students. Both genders can benefit from same-sex classrooms due to custom teaching that appeals to their maturity levels. I'm going to go to the next page. Same-sex education can improve the academic achievement of both genders. It has been linked to, you ready? Higher standardized achievement scores, that's your ACT, SAT, increased student interest in taking more advanced courses, higher likelihood of graduating from high school. Students in same-sex schools develop better organizational skills and are actually more involved in classroom activities. And this is according to the National Association of Single-Sex Education, Public Education. So same-sex classrooms not only improve academics, but also develop well-rounded individuals. Tehran, he's got an issue. Yes.
So sorry again, but like about that topic, I think like you said that public schools can't be not same sex,
I
right?
never said that. I said they're more often than not going to be that. And I'll explain that in the opponent's argument.
So if the bulk of them are private schools, then wouldn't that also impact the academic results? So it's not entirely like caused by that program.
100 gentlemen, ladies, do you 100% agree with him? Yeah, I mean, think about a private school like Hockaday or St. Mark's or Jesuit or Ursuline. You're paying private school rates, they get the cream of the crop, right? Like you apply for admission. So I do agree with that, but I do think, and I know this for a fact because my daughter went to a co-ed. She chose that. Let me answer your question, Teron. I think what I can do is help you all a little bit here. I don't think same-sex schools are for everybody. I don't think they are. I think that some girls are hampered by that, and some boys are hampered by that. I think for some people, a coeducational environment activates them. It helps them. But I don't think, Teron, that's true for everybody. And I think it's about the right fit. So the last one, single-sex schools for children, pros and cons. What are the benefits? Get it again. More relaxing environment. They can be themselves in classrooms, can speak out openly and honestly, more willing to take risks because they don't have to worry about saving face in front of the opposite gender. Also, the feelings of brotherhood and sisterhood are nurtured in a single-sex environment. You can't get that in a co-ed environment. A more specific curriculum, here's that same argument. And then the last page, breaking gender stereotypes. In a boys' school, male dancers, singers, or authors can be invited to speak of their art, and boys can ask questions without feeling shy, and they probably would be labeled in a co-ed school. Am I right? Probably. This holds true for subjects like drama, visual arts, and digital arts. Boys tend to be drawn to that in a co-ed school because they're not as macho, okay? However, in a girls' school, female athletes or engineers can come and freely give talks where girls can show an interest without being branded too nerdy, too tomboyish, too bookish. So single-sex schools can free students from gender stereotypes and carry their experiences ahead, even through their futures. Okay, so everybody, I have people logging on for the next one, so I want to make sure I have all the people for proponents. Tarun, Ria, Laksita, Sanvi, Arav, Agarwal, Rushil, Ryan, Shruti, and Radvika. Did I miss anybody? Pranavi, I got you as well. You are all here for proponents. Did I miss anybody?
Yeah, you missed.
Okay, yell out your name.
Arush.
Divya.
Okay, Arush and Divya, got you. Did y'all come in a few minutes late or something?
Yeah.
All right, I have you. Okay, so everybody go to your outline. So I want you to know, I learned a lot from this one, everybody. I feel like I was guilty of gender stereotypes. I was guilty of creating same-sex classrooms. And you know what cured me of that, by the way? The pandemic and your parents. Your parents do not care. They actually want you to be in a co-ed environment. So that's why a lot of co-ed schools are not going to be divided into same-sex classrooms. That and the American Civil Liberties Union will fight it, saying it's unconstitutional. So proponents of same-sex schools argue both males and females will benefit academically and socially in a safer environment, which customizes their overall experience, improving their confidence while allowing for fewer gender stereotypes to impact educational development. Now, for those of you who have done opponents, remember the opponent side, we're going to argue that it's sexist. And it actually does create sexual stereotypes, which is ironic that this is the argument. So one valid argument suggests a classroom eliminates the pressure for a student to perform in the hopes of impressing the opposite gender. That is their strongest argument here. So according to the National Educational Association, notice the ethos, everybody. I hope that y'all notice I try to back it up with ethos. I don't just tell it to you. I want you to get it from a credible expert. Studies have shown, according to the NEA, boys perform better in same-sex classrooms and are more likely to compete classroom activities. So whether it's all male or all female, both have been found to improve focus on academics, allowing students to have the freedom to pursue educational and extracurricular outside interests. This means there's an improved overall educational experience for same-sex education schools. They can receive instruction that will help them succeed in all subjects without the distractions of the opposite gender. Females feel less pressure to compete with males, so they accomplish more in traditionally male-dominated subjects such as science and math. And all male schools, a male can seek out interests in female-dominated subjects such as music and theater without judgment. This was validated again by the NEA, who showed students who have an opportunity to learn without pressure from the opposite sex become increasingly successful in school. The second argument, and I'm going a couple minutes over, those of you who are logging on for proponents, give me about 3 or 4 minutes, okay? People are logging on late anyway. I'm sorry, opponents is next. Same-sex schools can tailor curriculum to fit the needs of the genders, and I think I pretty much covered that one. The examples here were Hamlet and Jane Eyre. If you're using book examples, please italicize your book titles. A third argument suggests an environment inclusive of only one gender can break through gender stereotypes, allowing students to express themselves more creatively. You know, I think females, and I can tell you as a female athlete in the 80s, gentlemen, we didn't even get funding for female athletics until Title IX, which was not passed until 1972. Gentlemen, can you honestly tell me that athletics today, that female athletics and male athletics is given the same funding? Really? 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 And that answer is a big fat no. Males get more money than females, even today in sports. Ladies, give me a thumbs up. Yep. It's come a long way, ladies, but we're not quite near where the football team is, are we? Right? It's better, but you choose a male or female sport, the male's going to get more money. And I know the argument for that. Okay, body 2. The student body is less inclined to have disciplinary or behavioral issues, and teachers are less likely to unconsciously differentiate between perceived masculine or feminine stereotypes. So this is really the STEM argument for girls. The Matt Alpert already did that one for boys. And then number 3, overall, reports show from the National Association of Single-Sex Education, Public Education, higher scores from same-sex schools. So it appears same-sex schools have an advantage when it comes to controlling academic stereotypes and allowing for a more relaxed learning environment. Okay, any questions on that one? Okay, those of you who are staying for opponents, which is now, stay. Those of you who only needed to do proponents, please log off. And thank you for coming. All right. Okay, this is the other side. Okay, so Tarun and Ria, y'all, you're doing back to back. Ryan, you doing back to back today? Okay, Arush is doing back to back today. Okay, and Arav is doing back to back today. And then Janavi, welcome. Okay, Anaya, welcome. How's everybody's break? Hey, is everybody healthy? Finally? Maybe we can get that sickness out of your school, everybody. 9 days off, that should clear it out. Akilesh, okay. Okay, so I'm gonna say your names just so you get credit for both classes. Tarun, Ria, Ryan, Arush, Arav, those are all repeats. You're doing both sides, correct? Janavi, Anaya, Ankit, Akilesh. Did anybody come in late? Did I miss it? Shreeman, I got you. I got you, buddy. I know you were on time too. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to play another video. Y'all ready? Okay, here we go. Let me share my screen. And just to warn you all, this class is being recorded. Okay. Go to my screen. All right. This is kind of a cute video. I hope y'all like it. I like it. I think it's cute. If you've seen it already, just bear with me.
In the past, education was only available to boys. When girls began to be educated, they had to
messed up,
attend all
girls.
girls schools. Eventually, schools became co-educational, and this style is the most popular type of schooling today. Recently, though, single-sex schools have made a comeback, and this has raised the question of whether they are actually better than co-ed schools. When boys and girls are in the same class, all is well until they start to experience a range of emotions because of the opposite sex. When this happens, they can lose focus on their goals, and as a result, their studies naturally. Life already has too many distractions as it is, so shouldn't we minimize one of them for the sake of education?
Wait a minute. Emotions such as love don't have to be distractions. For many young people, wanting to impress others can actually motivate them to work harder than usual. Their grades improve, and they might even grab the attention of that special someone.
Okay, fine. Emotions perhaps could motivate some teens, but remember, all teens have to go through puberty. Their bodies and voices change. Their emotional ups and downs become extreme. Many feel shy or even ashamed during this time, and they can't understand why. A single-sex environment would minimize their discomfort because they wouldn't have to deal with the opposite sex during this challenging time.
True, but remember that after students graduate and enter the real world, everything is, well, co-ed. People aren't separated by gender. Single-sex education doesn't prepare students for this. But in a co-ed setting, teens learn how to socialize and interact with one another under adult supervision. School isn't just about learning academic knowledge. It should help them prepare for society as well. For a brighter future, co-education lights the way.
I really don't think so. Why don't we ask some students? What type of school are you attending?
Okay, so I think you get the point that this is controversial. And by the way, you have both of those links. If you want to watch the full videos in their entirety, which I have, you'll get a little bit more out of it. So this is opponents of single-sex schools. So those of you that came to proponents, especially the first week I did this essay, they were a little mad at me, everybody, because they were like, man, I feel really bad about my school. So hopefully by the end of this class, you'll feel really good about coeducational schools. And that's the whole purpose of this class. There is no one side here. There are elements that are truthful to both, okay? I think the strongest argument for this side is, ladies and gentlemen, we have to coexist in the real world. And that's valid. And school is not just about academics. There are valuable social skills that we learn. And ladies, we bring something to the classroom, to the table, that gentlemen do not. We don't think the same way. Books have been written about this. And gentlemen, you bring something to the classroom that we females do not bring. And when you mix these together, we have to collaborate. We have to learn to respect the other person's perspective. You know, I've been with my husband for 37 years, ladies and gentlemen, and I can tell you that man does not think like me. And he will come up with an idea and I will go, that is genius. I would never have come up with that. But by the same token, I will do the same thing. He'll go, that never entered my head. And I went, well, no, that's the way a girl thinks. And that's fantastic about both. So what can we do when we collaborate? So remember that a co-ed school is basically in this bubble. Okay, you are in a safe environment, hypothetically. No, you are. You are in a professional environment where teachers and counselors and staff are making sure that nothing gets pushed too far, right? So you can make mistakes with boys, you can make mistakes with girls. If you were in the previous class, I told you that my daughter got in the mix. Her best friend and her best friend's boyfriend were fighting, and she was supporting her best gal, and the guy got mad at her. Well, and I told you he assaulted her. He physically pushed her out of a chair. Well, when you're at a Catholic high school, you do not physically push a girl out of a chair. That's called assault, gentlemen. And so what that gentleman learned when he got 3 days suspension is you don't physically assault a female, right? And what my daughter learned is don't push a guy's button over a girl, over your best friend. Don't get in the middle of that. And that school handled that altercation beautifully, professionally. That's going to happen. You're going to make mistakes, especially between the two opposite genders. And you have staff that are there to manage that and help you. When you go off to a public university, the safety net is ripped out. Mom and dad aren't helping you. The teachers aren't helping you. If you get yourself in a situation, you're on your own. If you've seen in the news, this 4 people in Idaho, that the University of Idaho, 4 people in an apartment, all stabbed to death, right? Obviously the same person. You know, what could happen there? When you're in a situation in a public school, you're in a controlled environment. And you can learn those necessary skills. And there is a source on here, and I'll find it here in a minute. And they say these are life-altering social skills. And this is their strongest argument. When you graduate from high school, you have 2 options. Most likely, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to attend a co-ed university. Am I right? Is there anybody here? Raise your hand if you are intending to go to a same-gender college. And yes, they have them. See, most people aren't. You're assuming you're going to go to a co-ed college. And if you don't, maybe you're going to end up in a co-ed job. What if you don't have the skills necessary? So according to the American Psychiatric Association, they have some pretty good arguments about this. Here's what they say. And I think I'm on page, let me find it. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and go to, I'm going to go ahead and page 2. So I'm on this page. And it's this article. So you're going to see research in developmental psychology has clearly shown that teachers label and segregate social groups will increase children's stereotyping and prejudice. Okay, so notice the word segregation is being used today. When we segregated blacks and whites, which group was favored? Whites, right? Did the blacks know the whites were favored? Yes. Did the whites know they were favored? So another argument against same-sex schools is, well, wait a minute. If you're in an all-male environment, aren't you promoting that all male environments are better and males are superior to females and vice versa? So that's kind of an argument too. The history of same-sex schools. You're going to see on the bottom of page 2, I'm going to be right here. The name Dr. Lynn S. Lieben. Okay, she's in 4 or 5 articles. And she's quoted several times by me in your outline. Here's what she says. She's the psychology professor at Penn State. She has other titles as well. She says same-sex environments foster sexism, which means they get in the way of a positive learning environment. She says there's not good scientific evidence that there are academic advantages of single-sex schooling. She says there is strong evidence for negative consequences by segregating by sex. She uses that word segregating on purpose. And she says there could be collateral damage. According to the American Civil Liberties Union, and they're going to fight for constitutionality. Here's what they fight for. They want schools, especially coeducational schools, to give girls and boys equal opportunity to an education. All right, you with me so far, everybody? So here's what they say. If you put all girls in one classroom and all boys, you're not giving equal opportunity to either. You're promoting one over the other. And they say that's unconstitutional. And they will file lawsuits. And this is why, ladies and gentlemen, you don't see many coeducational schools separate classes into same sex. Now, there's one area y'all tell me what it is, where they separate girls and boys even in a co-ed school? Come on, it's obvious. Ria, come on, it's obvious. Who do you play golf with?
Girls.
Sports, right? They're always going to segregate sports because males, it's unfair to put a female and a male when males have testosterone and males are considerably stronger. That's the one area that segregation is allowed. Interestingly, I'm going to go to the next page. The disadvantages of schools segregated by sex, if you're following along with me. When schools prohibit boys and girls from studying together in the same classroom, this is the segregation rule argument, one gender may feel superior to another. And this was according to Forbes. They said when students are segregated by sex, they miss opportunities to work together and develop vital social skills. The publisher also states that segregated students often wonder about the reasons for separation. They question the value of one gender over another. So here's what they say. Opponents say gender segregated schools produce young men and women who don't know how to communicate with one another and leave lasting impressions that one gender is better than the other. Here's your ethos, everybody. Here's your support of that. Is the American Psychological Association credible, everybody? Okay, they say 2 areas that this is going to impact students, right, in a same-sex environment. If you're in a same-sex environment, it's going to affect your relationship with a future boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, spouse. So the American Psychological Association says, this is what they quote, "This type of bigotry can cause problems in forming adult relationships." So as you graduate and get out in the real world, they're saying same-sex schools might hinder that, your future relationships. Not only is the American Psychological Association saying that, they're saying it could impact your relationships in the workplace. They argue that school is the preparation for adult life. How boys and girls learn to interact now will dictate relationships they have in the workplace. Okay, did I validate that with ethos? Okay, here comes Dr. Lieben again. Here's another title, Professor of Psychology and Human Development and Family Studies. So she examined classrooms segregated, all male, all female, and she found signs of sexism. She said the choice to fight sexism by changing co-ed practices or segregating by gender has parallels to the fight against racism. When boys and girls are taught under separate roofs, she concluded, they often wrongly conclude one is better than the other gender. So this is your backup. This is your ethos to support that argument. She's a credible expert. Don't take it from me. In 2008, the American Civil Liberties Union filed a federal lawsuit arguing segregated classrooms by sex in public schools is discriminatory and against the law. They say when you separate in a co-ed public school, males and females, you violate multiple state and federal laws, in particular, Title IX. Remember Title IX, 1972, and this was all about sports, ladies. Title IX was all about the inequality of males and female sports, which, by the way, still exists today. Emily Martin, Deputy Director of the ACLU Women's Right Project, added, sex-segregated classrooms are unlawful because they prevent children from equal opportunities in education. They prevent students from benefiting from smaller class sizes, improved funding, teachers with better training, and more parental involvement. Okay. See if there's anything else I want to go. I'm going to go to this one. I like this one, and then I'm going to go to your outline. Research, again, Dr. Lynn Lieben. There is strong evidence of negative consequences associated with segregating students by gender, that in doing so, it actually promotes negative gender stereotypes. So they did a study at Arizona State University where they showed classes that separate boys and girls. And here's what they found. it can be detrimental to the personal and social growth of both genders. That's where that ethos is. As boys and girls spend time apart, they do not learn from each other, about each other, and negative stereotypes are reinforced. So Dr. Lieben did a research study. She separated boys and girls for 2 weeks, right? She put girls with girls and boys with boys. Then after 2 weeks, she put them back together. Guess what? The girls wanted to stay with the girls and the boys wanted to stay with the boys, and they didn't want to intermingle. So already it took 2 weeks and there was a negative stereotype that was developed. If there's anything else I want to go here. Title IX, pros and cons. Okay, I want to go to the last page, claims for co-ed schools. Co-education gives students the opportunity to witness and adjust to different learning styles. Male and female students can learn from each other's approaches and learn to collaborate, each bringing their style to bear in working for common goal. This is claimed as an important learning opportunity for advocates of co-education. Since men and women are likely to interact in the workplace and in the home, proponents of co-ed schools say the school can be an environment in which gender differences could come to be understood, preparing students for life. Students can also learn to deal with the social issues that arise in mixed company rather than avoiding them. That's my daughter's issue. It's claimed that girls seeing boys in the art or music class and boys seeing girls in math, science, and technology classes gain evidence that pursuits are not gender linked. Some studies have shown there's no particular benefit to single-sex education, and this was confirmed by the American Association of University Women in 1998. All right, let's go to the outline. Okay, are you already feeling better about your co-ed school? Yes, I told you I was going to argue your side too. Okay, so remember the proponents' argument, everybody. Proponents argue separating males and females removes distractions, creating a relaxed learning environment, free of conflict from competition between males and females. Valid. Teachers can tailor curriculum to fit the needs of one gender and which reduce sexual stereotypes. Okay, so let's take the opponent's side. Opponents of single-sex education argue males and females should be taught in a co-educational environment, as students can develop important social skills necessary to understand the difference between both genders, which will help them navigate work and life experiences in the real world, as this kind of learning reduces sexual stereotypes. Body one strong argument supporting co-educational schools claims single-sex schools cannot prepare a student for the real world, which will inevitably be mixed gender rather than single-sexed. And that is their best argument. Co-educational schools are controlled environments. Males and females form into small mini societies learning how to coexist. When students graduate from high school, they will likely enter co-educational universities or work in jobs where they will need to have already acquired the necessary social skills to get along with males and females in the same setting. It is inevitable. Males and females will work together in a future occupation. Only in a co-educational school can students interact with mixed genders on a daily basis, where they come to understand and work through gender differences. Those who oppose single-sex schools argue a mixed gender environment prepares students for real life since they cannot avoid working with one another. I backed this up with the Forbes magazine. When students are segregated by sex, they miss opportunities to work and develop social skills. This suggests when students attend school alongside the opposite gender, they learn necessary life skills while reducing sexual stereotype. Number two, there is no evidence that single-sex schools are better than co-ed schools. This was validated in 1998 by the American Association of University Women, by the way, a women's source. Also, this is the American Psychological Association saying, look, this is a type of bigotry. It can cause problems with relationships when you get older, relationships and then work relationships. So that's number two. Number three, co-ed schools can offer diversity with genders and single-sex schools cannot. Females bring something to the classroom males cannot, and vice versa. Students need this kind of contact. A coeducational setting would allow students to acknowledge gender differences, consider the strengths of the opposite sex, and understand how they approach a problem. And ladies, we do not approach a problem the way men do, and men, we acknowledge we don't approach it the way you do either, okay? It's out there. Opponents argue students need to work together and socialize with the opposite gender because it is essential to healthy development. And I think that's the University of Arizona. I remember saying there was an ethos. I didn't back up. I think it's that one. So if you want to mark that, there's ethos that can back that up. And I did not do that. Coeducational students allow students to collaborate, reach a common goal, which is the purpose for education. Okay, so all in all, a coeducational environment can promote gender differences, creating more sympathetic, open-minded, well-rounded individuals. Body 2. This is the easier one, actually. Segregating males and females. And I use that word segregating on purpose because it shows division. May actually be harmful. It can cause teachers to show bias towards students and encourage gender stereotypes, which is reduced in a co-ed classroom. So while there are those who promote single-sex schools claiming they allow males and females to work in an environment to build their confidence, promote their gender identity, so they're not acknowledging that that's not true. Opponents say that comes at a price. Teachers can modify curriculum to focus on gender differences, such as giving girls more attention in STEM, where research has shown favors males. But in the real world, those females go into STEM classes and then they go into STEM in college. Guess what? They better be prepared for a mostly male environment. And a single-sex school would not have prepared them for that, would it? Coeducational schools would have prepared females and males to work alongside each other and offer a diverse curriculum available to all students. De-emphasizing gender-linked stereotypes related to coursework. Co-ed schools encourage males and females to explore a wide range of learning opportunities while they interact with one another in a meaningful way, respecting one another and cooperating as equals. Number 2, the most convincing data to promote coeducational classrooms suggests single-sex classrooms actually promote sexism, which could preclude students from receiving a proper education. Number 2 is all Dr. Lieben, and I have like 4 or 5 different quotes. Basically, Lieben explains what happens in an all-male or all-female school is similar to what happened when Blacks were segregated from whites. This is her words, not mine. Lieben explains, the school and staff could not help but differentiate between the two, favoring one over the other. She concluded when males and females are segregated, these single-sex schools unknowingly promote and value one gender over another. She says, just as racial segregation promoted racism, schools segregated by sex promote sexism. Can't argue with her, can I? She's a doctor, am I? This is because males and females are taught under one roof without the opposite gender to question the favoritism given to that said gender. And this was supported by her when she did the experiment separating the boys and girls. Number 3, even the legality of allowing single-sex schools is open to debate. You won't find many co-ed single-sex schools, especially in a public school setting. You won't find them. Because in 2006, federal regulations were put in place, right, to allow them to exist as long as, here's the caveat, these schools were voluntary. Many schools, your parents do not want all male and all female. So it's not voluntary. You have too many parents refusing to do all male and all female, which is why public schools won't do it. And the American Civil Liberties Union will argue single-sex education is unconstitutional. It violates state and federal laws, in particular Title IX, which was passed to make sure there was gender equality. So sex-segregated classrooms are unlawful, according to the director of the ACLU Women's Rights Project, because they prevent children from equal opportunities in education, males and females. And then the Arizona State University found alarming trends with single-sex schools. Classes that separate boys and girls can be detrimental to the personal and social growth of both genders. Coeducational schools allow for males and females to appreciate their differences. So single-sex schools attempt to promote higher learning by segregating males and females, but a downside to this is they foster sexism. So how'd I do? Any questions? Do you feel like I gave, okay, those of you that stayed for both, Tarun, Ria, I think Arav Agarwal, you came for both, Arush. Did I give equal arguments for both sides? Did I favor one over the other? Okay, and the answer is they're both good. And it's really about what fits you the best and what helps you, okay? You may graduate from high school, ladies and gentlemen, and decide to go to a same gender college. They have them. And ladies, if you want to do STEM, I would suggest you not do a co-ed college. You're not going to get what you need out of it. But it could influence your job and your performance in your actual job, couldn't it? So it's a no-win, everybody, right? Okay, I'm going to say your name, and if you're in this class today, which by the way was recorded, I hope you're okay with that, you can log off. Tarun, Ria, Ryan, thank you for coming. Arush, Arav, Janavi, Anaya, Ankit, Akhilesh, Shriman. Did I get everybody? You're good to go. Have a good week.